Well, hey, everybody. Yeah, I've been gone for a minute. Man. Hey, but check this out. I want to share something with you all today. Hopefully you can get some value out of it. It's about confidence, right? But before I get into the whole confidence thing, every single day, regardless of what it is we're doing, whether we have a job and we're working for someone else in terms of like an employee, or maybe you have an executive position, or maybe you play sports, or maybe you run your own company, or you want to run your own company. There's three things every single day that we're always tending to look at. We're looking at our productivity, our progress, and our overall performance, right? Well, I want you to keep in mind that we live in a cause and effect environment. And I'm going to come back to that as it relates to confidence. But every day when you're looking at your productivity, you're looking at your progress, and you're looking at your performance, we may or may not like what it is we see. So what I want to do is I want to step back from that and let you know that the way I kind of look at how we perform on a day-to-day basis and how productive we're going to be and how much progress we're going to make, I want to go to the other side of it, right, where it all tends to start. And it kind of starts with your potential, your possibilities, and then your probabilities, something you heard me talk about in a previous video. So on one side, you have your possibilities, you have your potential, and you have your probabilities. And then on the other side, based on everything that's possible for you, based on your potential, and based on your probabilities, on the other side, you have your progress, you have your productivity, and you have your performance. But there's that one thing that sits in the middle that is really the determining factor on how much progress we're going to make every day, how much productivity we're going to have, and ultimately how we're going to perform. What is it, right? Get to the point. It's this. It's a little formula that I have. P minus I equals P, right? Your P, your potential, your possibilities, and your probabilities, minus I, which is interference, equals how productive you're going to be, how much progress you're going to make, and what your performance is going to be like, right? So listen, what your potential is, you and I, we're not even able to measure, right? Your potential is through the roof, it's immeasurable. What's possible for you? I mean, come on. I mean, all things are possible for the most part, right? And put it like this, based on what it is you would like to experience in your life, I'm pretty sure that's possible, right? And then we talked about probabilities. But what's going to determine how much of your potential you tap into, right? How much of the possibilities you're able to actually enjoy or at least engage fully to be able to experience what's possible. And then what's going to impact how probable you are to experience these things in life is how much interference you have in your life. And interference can be external, it can be internal. But one of the things I want to talk about as it relates to interference is the interference of lack of confidence. Right now, we can have fear, we can have all these different things that can come and interfere, that drags down and weighs down our daily productivity, our daily progress, and our ultimate daily performance. But I want to talk about confidence because a lot of things that we may experience as interference, it tends to all roads lead back to a lack of confidence. So remember, I talked about us being in a cause and effect environment, right? So let me move this over real quick. I want to pull up my board. You know, I got to do my whiteboard thing, right? All right, so let's just say we have our confidence, all right? Yeah. Hey, look, I got it. I know how to spell it, right? So you have confidence. Now, well, I hope you have confidence, right? But let's just say you have confidence. Now, if you have really, really strong self-confidence, that confidence is going to cause you to be able to do something, whatever it is. So confidence is going to be a cause that's going to create a certain effect in your life. And I don't know what that effect's going to be. I mean, we're all different. We all have different ambitions and desires and goals. But if you have the confidence, think about it. Man, if I had more confidence, what are the things that I would do? What would that cause me to go out there and be, do, have, become, and contribute? All right, so confidence is a cause that's going to have a certain effect. Now we want to back up and ask ourselves, okay, but looking at confidence as an effect, what will cause you to be more confident? What will cause you to be more confident? And that's really the point of today's video. All right, so I want to introduce you to what I call the behavior triad. The behavior triad. So we're going to take our confidence, right? And we're going to put it within this little diamond, if you will. Now, the behavior triad consists of three things: our self-esteem, which is how we feel about ourselves; our self-image, which is how we view ourselves; and our self-talk, which is what we say to ourselves. These are truly the ultimate behavior modifiers. These are behavior modifiers because how you see yourself, right? How you feel about yourself and what you say to yourself is like a steering wheel. It's the steering committee of your life. It's going to steer you in certain directions, right? So, but where does this information come from? Right? There's three things that we tend to focus on that feeds and fuels our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and our self-talk, right? The first one is our past. We tend to look at our past. Now, all of us, we can go and look at our past and we can see a lot of great things and we can see a lot of horrible things. We can play the victim. We can play whatever it is we want to play. But from our past, we can extract all kinds of information. Unfortunately, for most people, the information that is extracted from the past sabotages and doesn't serve. It doesn't serve them well anyway. So you extract this information from your past, and then you use the past, the negative information from the past, as a lens through how you see yourself. And if you're pulling negative information, how do you think you're going to see yourself? In other words, your self-image. Not necessarily good. So that's going to weigh it down, right? It's going to start steering it in a negative direction. Now, what are you going to start feeling about yourself, your self-esteem, based on this negative information you're drawing from the past? Not too good. You're steering in a negative direction. Right? Now, what about what you're saying to yourself? Is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative? Is it going to be supportive or is it going to be sabotaging? Of course, it's going to be negative and sabotaging, so it's going to be steering you in that negative direction. So if you're looking at, let's just say you're wanting to start a business, and maybe it's not your first one. In your past, you've started businesses before that didn't necessarily work out. You can go and you can reference that and you can look at everything you learned. Well, I know I need to have a better plan. I need to have backup plans, like contingency plans. I need to be strategic, or I need to be more tactical, or I need to be more consistent. I need to focus on sales. I need to get out of ego, or whatever it is. You could look at the lessons you learned and feed those forward in a positive way, or you can look at the money you lost, the embarrassment, the shame, or whatever it is you may have associated with the business not working. So now all of a sudden, how confident are you going to be that you can build the next business? Not so confident, right? So anyway, one of the things we tend to look at is we tend to look at our past, right? Another thing we tend to look at is people. We listen to people and we allow people to feed us information that's going to make us feel a certain way about ourselves, that's going to give us a set of lenses through which we're going to view ourselves, and then sometimes we will restate what it is they say about us to ourselves, right? So, and this is important. I mean, maybe I should come back and do a video on social engineering, because a lot of people don't even realize that basically all of societies, I don't care what country you're in, society is engineered. And one of the two things that drive human behavior today is materialism and consumerism in a not necessarily a positive way. And maybe I should come back and do that, because believe it or not, that is one of the things that can hurt a person's self-confidence, because we can get so caught up in materialism and consumerism that the very goals that we have that are supposed to be inspiring us can actually destroy us and destroy our confidence. And what do I mean by that? There's nothing wrong with having stuff or wanting to have a better life. It's just that when you associate your identity in who you are and your self-worth with those things, it no longer becomes you having the stuff already has you. So you feel insufficient, you feel inferior because you don't have it, right? So now the confidence that you need to go out there and build that life is absent, because you feel as if you need to have the money, the relationships, the cars, the toys, or whatever to feel good about yourself, right? And then when you get it, you have a false sense of confidence because your confidence is in the stuff. And then to keep that confidence elevated, you have to post it on social media so people can like it. I call it that Luciferian mentality because, and I call that, for those that read the Bible, because Lucifer wanted to be worshiped. And today across social media, you have a bunch of people that want to be worshiped because they're empty. So they post all this stuff that has nothing to do about you and everything to do about them. So you can like it, you can share it, and you can congratulate them or whatever. So it kind of strokes their ego. It makes them feel better about themselves. But people never really stop and ask, what is posting your house, your car, your watch, your bag, your shoes, your belt, your this or whatever have to do with me? It has nothing to do with me. How do I get edified from that? Right? And then it's like, oh, well, I do it to inspire people. But check out the trick bag. They do it to inspire you to do what? Want to go out and get more stuff. So that even feeds more into consumerism and materialism because, hey, I want to be like this person materially. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything is wrong with material things. Look, I live in a nice house, but you don't see me post it. It's 12,000 square feet on 4.3 acres. But what does that do for you? If I post, I don't have to post stuff that I have because my stuff does not make me. I don't have to post the type of relationships that I have, good or bad, because that does not make me. Do you think people on social media are posting when they hit somebody, posting when they curse somebody out, posting when they steal, posting when they lie? No. So it's 100% a positive bias to make them look a certain way. And then in our mind, we build this certain construct that they're living a life that they're actually not living. So then we aspire to become that. But you're looking to become something that's a total illusion, right? But the whole thing is that we become influenced by other people to feel a certain way about ourselves. For me to feel good about myself, I need to have a bunch of likes on my social media, or I need to have this car, this watch, this hair, if you're a woman, or whatever it is, right? So now we're being steered by consumerism and we're being steered by materialism. So, because think about it, how we feel about ourselves, it can be extrinsic or it can be intrinsic. I mean, it can come from inside or it can come from the outside. Maybe you're familiar with like the whole self-sufficiency movement, growing your own food and all this other kind of stuff and kind of disconnecting as much as possible from the food distribution systems because of how toxic and poison the food is. Right now, I'm not just talking about GMOs, I'm talking about pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, hybrid foods. Basically food looks good, but it's void of any real nutritional value. So there's this whole self-sufficiency movement. Hey, we grow stuff here, right? But there's another level of self-sufficiency that we need to look at also. We need to be self-sufficient in our own self-esteem, in our own self-image, and in our own self-talk so that we can internally and intrinsically build up the confidence that we need. Because what happens is, and on the flip side is, when we're seeking approval for people to feel good about ourselves, that knife cuts both ways. Right? Because if it's all about the approval and the praise of people for you to feel confident, they give it, they can take it away, right? Because that becomes a source of life for you where, oh, I need these people to accept me. Why? I need these people to love me or like me. Why? Hey, I want a bunch of people at my funeral. Why? You ain't going to know they're there, right? I mean, we get so caught, but here's the thing though. All of these desires and these emotions, a lot of people don't even realize they're not even your own. So we need to step back and really get a vision of ourselves. What do we really look like? You can have a vision for the business. A lot of people have, hey, this is what I want the business to look like, or I want the house to look like, or whatever. But many times you don't even clearly see who you are as the person that's making that or that's creating that. A person wants this really great business, but they don't realize the person that builds that business has to be disciplined, has to be a focused person, right? And I mean, look, I don't want to go too far into a bunch of different rabbit holes, but the point here is when we're talking about what feeds our self-esteem and what feeds our self-image and what feeds our self-talk, we tend to lean on other people and then they become a source of fuel, positive or negative. And I'm like this, be neutral. It's okay if people say good things about you. It's okay if people want to say bad things about you. If you are not so heavily associated with it that it's going to make you feel a certain way, because you can falsely feel inflated, right? You can feel superior via comparisons, and you can likewise feel inferior via comparisons or based on what other people are saying, right? So we want to find out, well, where does my lack of confidence come from, Who is teaching me this? Who is fueling me this? Giving me the fuel to feel that certain way. And by the way, we are the gatekeepers. We are the ones that let this stuff come in, be it from our past or be it from people. We are, regardless of the source, we are the one giving it permission. So we have to check that. It doesn't matter, oh, they're making me feel a certain way. No, they're giving you stimulus and we're feeling a certain way. So we want to make sure we're taking ownership of how it is we feel. Okay, real quickly, the third thing, and then I'm going to wrap this up. The first thing is we look at our past. The other thing is we look at people. But it's better to look at, remember the first three things I'll talk to you about? Your possibilities and your probabilities and your potential. We should look at that, because if we start to look at what we're truly capable of, what our true potential is, we can spend a lifetime trying to figure that out and measure it, because it tends to be immeasurable. Independent of environment, independent of people, independent of our past in a negative way. What we as people are truly capable of, what we can really produce is so phenomenal, but we don't spend the time tapping into that and discovering that, because we stumble over all these different mistakes. We're so busy trying to paint this picture of a perfect life for people so we can be accepted. Who cares, right? Who really cares about that? Go out there and start to feed yourself and get to know yourself. What do you really want? Not what people want for you, right? Stop trying to be a part of groups of people that don't really even care about you. Stop trying to feed social media so you can feel good about yourself. These people don't like you. Do you think I believe that the people that watch all this stuff online for me or for other people are real friends? They're not. They may appreciate you and they may like you, but everybody has their own crap and stuff that's going on. Everybody is looking, believe it or not, for love and for acceptance and for approval, right? To feel like they belong, right? To feel some level of significance, because so many people, all of us, we have so much hurt and so much pain from an immeasurable amount of different things that have happened in our lives in the past and even probably that's going on today. But we need to stop looking for someone to give us something that we can give ourselves. Love starts with loving yourself. Acceptance starts with accepting yourself, regardless of mistakes that we made. We need to accept those mistakes, especially if we've learned the lessons, right? Because the only people not making mistakes today are those that are dead. You're going to continue to make mistakes, no matter how brilliant you are or how brilliant you think you are. Listen, we're going to always be making mistakes. That's just life, and we need to come to some type of grips and say, hey, listen, if I make the mistakes, it doesn't take away from who I am as a person. It doesn't take away from who you are as a person. We can learn from that and understand that, hey, as long as I'm not making the same mistakes I made yesterday or last year, I'm learning something. It's better to be making new mistakes, because that means you've learned the lessons from the old mistakes. But if you're making the same mistakes over and over and over again, chances are you haven't learned the lesson, right? Remember the saying on the Get Strong, what you call mistakes, challenges, and problem, life calls strength training. So don't get down, get strong. And that's what it's about. In our strength, we need to understand how to be strong, independent of stuff and people. Not that stuff is bad or all people are bad, but when that becomes your life source, when that becomes the thing that you are so dependent on that you feel as if you can't live without it, that becomes a problem. Because now you're going to become emotionally an emotional hostage to all of that. And you don't want people and environments and stuff to hold you hostage, because that's an unnecessary prison, and it's a self-imposed prison. We don't need that. There's all kinds of other stuff that we deal with in our life, right? So that's the one thing you want to start to do, by the way, you could put anything inside of here. Confidence, you could put whatever it is you want to put in here. But we want to understand, how do I start to steer myself? Because I'm being steered right now. And you are steering yourself. Don't get me wrong. It's not like you're in the back seat and somebody is steering your life. But how do I steer myself in the direction I really want to go? Because it's like this. Hey, you have low self-esteem or you have low confidence. Do you really want to have low confidence? Think about it. I don't really want to feel bad about myself, but I feel bad about myself. But I'm the one making myself feel bad about myself, but I really don't want to feel bad about myself. The battle was just with me. The battle has nothing to do with anybody else. It is something that I need to take care of myself. And guess what? The moment I start to take care of myself that way and I become emotionally fit and I become emotionally strong, I can become a better contributor to those that are around me. regardless of whether they appreciate it or not. I can make my contribution from a place of strength and authenticity, and I can live with that. But if I'm going through life and I'm parading every single day in my life being something that I'm not, but just being something so I can be socially accepted or survive the environment that I'm in, and I understand survival, but then that's not a life that you're going to be delighted with. That's not a life that's going to make you totally fulfilled. It's a life that in the closet you'll be completely depressed, right? Maybe in public you'll be depressed. I don't know. But one of the things that's going to be liberating is understanding that regardless of how you're feeling and regardless of what you may believe is making you feel that way, your past, fear, what may or may not happen in the future, the people that are around you, yeah, they're sources of influence. They're stimulus, and they can be putting the pressure on you. But you're ultimately the gatekeeper. You're the gatekeeper of your mind. You're the gatekeeper of your soul. You're the gatekeeper of every emotion that it is you have. And you can't feel a certain way without your permission. Whether you feel confident or lack of confidence, whether you feel powerful and strong or intimidated and fearful, whatever it is you're feeling, you're giving yourself permission to feel that way. So all you have to do is give yourself permission to feel another way. Now, that may sound like a great idea, but what we want to do is we want to reinforce that. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and look through your life and deliberately find things that you did well. Things you didn't learn that you ultimately learned. Stuff you didn't know before that you know now. Challenges that you overcame. Because if you're alive today, you've overcome some challenges. From childhood to adolescence, as an adult, we've all gone through different challenges. And we made it through. I want you to go and find every single point of strength and write it down, document it, and look at that. And be like, man, you know what? I made it through that. I am strong. I am smart. I am intelligent. I am confident. You know, I did this. I did that. Whatever it is. Because we have a lot of it, and then I want you to stack it. Don't just find a few things. I want you to have a huge list of things that are going to outweigh anything and everything else that may be negative, whether it's the voices in your head, the voices of other people, images from your past, fears of your future, whatever those uncertainties are. Because, look, it's a war going on in your brain. Right? And that's where all these things are constructed at. That's where it's all manufactured at. And since we are in control of that process, what we want to do is we want to start manufacturing the things that are going to serve us and not the things that are going to sabotage us. Okay? Hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I think I probably went a little bit longer than I had expected. But, hey, I hadn't put a video up in a while. So hopefully you enjoyed this. And then I'm going to come back with something else at another time. Anyway, man, you all know what to do. You know what to do. If you ain't strong, you need to get strong. And if you're strong, stay strong. Your family is dependent on you. Your future is dependent on you. Your legacy is dependent on you. I'll check with y'all later. Deuces!